Hey guys, what's up? This is the Phantom, and I have another story for you. Like I said in the last video, I will not be recording, or editing, sorry. Exactly, I'm not going to edit this out either. So, today we'll be reading The Dating Game, which is a creepypasta. It's marked not safe for work, but I don't think it's that bad. I've read a lot worse. So, let's get right into this. Let's try this one take. Yeah, dating game. I don't know. I don't think I can find an author. No. Well, anyway. Let's get right into it. This is The Dating Game. I had been single for a while, and I was sick and tired of it. Being 32 and single is no laughing matter. The traumatic experiences of watching your friends get married, have children, and attain the American dream are akin to the hopeless depression of the schizophrenic mental patient. I wanted a wife. I wanted kids. I wanted a steady job. I was tired of working at Burger King and living alone in a studio apartment. And I was almost certain I memorized 90% of porn stars on the internet by name. Disgusted by the company of my left hand, I decided to go out to one of those speed dating events. I suited there. I picked up my best garb and walked out the door. Keep in mind, I work at Burger King, so the best clothes I could afford were some mediocre dress shirts and tattered khaki pants I bought at Walmart during a clearance event. I walked into the event, trying to display the shred of confidence I had left. I was instantly discouraged when I saw all the other competing males in their Armani suits, high-class whiskey in hand, and oars reeking of nothing but pure self-esteem and conceit. The ladies were dressed in fine dresses, some of them quite low-cut, and smelled like a flower garden designed by Martha Stewart herself. There were some serious lookers in there, and I swear my pants shrunk a couple sizes at the sight of some of these dresses. The speed dating started. The first girl I sat down with was quite young, a 22-year-old mother of 3. She had made a lot of mistakes in her life, and seemed far more than I could handle. Right off the bat, she told me how she was 4 days sober from methamphetamine, and was looking to settle down with a nice man who didn't look like a walrus. I spent the next 4 minutes making general small talk, quite literally fearing for my life. Once the buzzer sounded, I rocketed out of my chair with the speed of a gazelle. The young woman seemed offended, but honestly, what did she expect? The next woman was way too old for me. I had thought that these events were age-regulated and had different meetings for people in different stages of life. I'm no pervert, but the whole idea of taking her shirt off and seeing 2 runny eggs nailed to the wall did not appease me. My decision was finalized as soon as she brought up her grandkids. I can hardly handle 1 generation of young ones, much less 2. I actually asked her if she needed help getting out of her chair after the buzzer sounded. Again, another dark look. I was batting 0 for 2, but such pitches were ones that I would gladly let the catcher have. The next woman seemed much more appealing. She was 26 and studying to be a nurse at the local hospital. She loved kids, but had none of her own, which is a relief to me. She seemed well kept and stable, and wasn't a bad looker either. No lie, my eyes did wander a bit south a couple times during the meeting. She either didn't notice or didn't care, as she never pointed it out. I asked if she liked my number as the session ended, and she consented. I flipped open my phone and entered her number as she read it out, smiling at her and thanking her for her listening ear. No wonder I had been single for so long. I got up to the next table. While doing so, I closed my phone by accident and realized that I never saved her number. So it was lost forever. For the love of... 0 for 3. The next table was empty. What a joke. If I wanted to sit here and stare at a wall, I would have stayed at home. Nothing really to say here. Moving on. This is where the story begins getting dark. The woman I met at the next table was the most interesting of all, but not in a bad way. She had long, flowing dark hair and green eyes. She had this cute smile in a man, and man, what a tight body on this one. Black dress, black shoes, black everything. For someone dressed in such a gothic manner, she had such a bubbly personality. Everything I said made her giggle, and I felt like a king just talking to this girl. She was 27 and currently unemployed. She was married to a husband before, but he left her after their 2 children died of leukemia. She told me that the cancer was entwined with her lineage, dating back as far the voice crack, that's nice. She told me that the cancer was entwined with her lineage, dating back as far as the 18th century. Therefore, in numerous fits of emotional rage, her ex-husband blamed her for giving the children cancer and left. Too pained by the loss of her entire family, she moved to the city a few weeks ago and was living on unemployment. Unable to continue working at her job due to the crippling depression and panic she suffered as a result of the abandonment. Man, I need some water. Despite the torment in her life, she never seemed depressed about it. Either she was incredibly optimistic about her life, or she was one of the best actors I had ever seen. Either way, I was willing to take a shot. I asked her if she'd like my number. It turned out that she had some bad meetings at this particular convention herself, and wanted to take off to do something more fun. She tossed me an invite, and, seeing as I was a lonely 32-year-old man, she didn't have to ask twice. I never understood what she saw in me over all the other guys. I was beaten and broken, with no aspirations to better my current situation. Maybe she understood how I felt, considering all the pain she felt herself, and decided to get to know who I really was under this cocoon of emotionless insecurity. I sensed a thread of compassion intertwined between all the stress and trauma, willing to lend an ear to anyone that felt the same pain as her. I was truly transfixed by her presence, drawn to her character. I had never felt like this before. We decided to go to a pool hall. Apparently, she used to be a regular at another pool hall by her old house, winning local tournaments and making a name for herself, and she wanted to check out the scenery here. I wasn't too shabby at the table game myself, so I was excited. Every shot she made was perfect. The balls just sank in the pockets like each pocket was a black hole just waiting for something to trespass into its field. Out of the 17 games we played, I think I made around 23 shots. She kept running the table. It was funny, because she kept apologizing for being so good. I waived the apology and complimented her on her skill, causing her to giggle more. Every time she laughed, I fell harder and harder. And to be honest, I was always excited when the cue ball landed on my side of the table, 'cause she bent over to take her shots, as many pros do. We left after that. She said she had to get home as she had some errands to run. Being new in the neighborhood and all, I agreed, since I had a Facebook application that I had to update. Obviously, I didn't give her that reason. Jesus, what the hell is wrong with me? Passing up an amazing girl for Facebook? Ugh. So we exchanged numbers and parted ways. I couldn't believe it. I had actually scored a beautiful woman. Hell yeah. Shit you not, that is what it says. I like this guy's attitude. Weeks and months passed on. We continued to talk and eventually began regularly dating. The relationship moved pretty quickly, and it seemed we were truly matched for each other. After about 7 months of dating, I asked her to marry me. I popped the question on the 17th, as that's how many games we played on our first date. She found that so romantic and flew into my arms, screaming yes to the skies. Things were finally looking up. I moved out of my shitbox apartment and into her home. I always admired the cozy feel of her 2-bedroom ranch house. Something perfect to start a family in. As I was moving my final things in, I noticed how much of a mess I was making, with my boxes and of stuff and all. I apologized and motioned to the basement to finish moving things. Her face instantly darted to mine. In a hurried and almost frantic voice, she assured me that she'd take care of the rest of my things, and that I should relax. It was a bit odd, sure, but she had been through so much excruciating sadness throughout her life that her having a psychiatric illness is something I expected. I complied to her request. The next few months were great. We never got tired of each other, and on our wedding day, the kiss we shared on the altar was so special that I firmly believe angels surrounded us and serenaded us with the harps and trumpets as our lips connected and sparked so brightly that the entire room was illuminated. That's pretty corny, dude, just saying. I'll leave out the details of the honeymoon, as this is not a pornographic piece. She was always leery of me approaching the basement, sometimes to point of arguing with me about it. But aside from that, I didn't see any fault in her, until everything I knew about my life was shattered. One day, she told me she was going to the grocery store. I noted that I wanted some ground beef in order to make hamburgers for dinner. She smiled at me with that cute, adorable smile I have grown to know and love, and headed out. After climbing Burger King's corporate ladder, I had finally attained the position of regional financial manager for the entire state. I was working on some budget information, assessing the costs of all the franchises across the state. It was a long and arduous process, but I was getting just above 6 figures for it, so I wasn't complaining. After each report was fully completed and evaluated, I moved the files to a USB drive so I could upload them to a computer for a corporate business meeting the next day. To my horror, with only 3 reports left to finish, the computer crashed. If I didn't finish these reports, I would surely lose my job. I called my wife, asking her if she had another computer or something I could use, but she didn't answer. I rummaged through the house to find something to finish these reports with to no avail. Desperate times called for desperate measures, so I took the daring risk of approaching the basement. The handle was unusually cold, and the door was locked. Frustrated and defeated, I slumped to the couch in a depression. That is, until I realized that there was a specific flower pot that my wife always guarded with her life. On a hunch, I went to it and found the key at the bottom of the pot, under the dirt. As soon as I opened the door, a rancid and tangible odor attacked me, like a falling wall from a separate building. The entire basement looked as if it was wasting away, a clear contrast to the rest of the house. The heavy layers of dust upon every surface suggested that the basement hadn't been accessed in years. Using my cell phone as a flashlight, I guided myself down the stairs and flicked a light switch. Surprisingly, the bulb still worked. The walls looked molded, the wood was breaking down, the stench was putrid, and the entire place was in disarray. I encountered a strong sense of dysphoria after setting foot in the room, so I quickly searched for some old computer. See, this is why it takes me so many takes to do this, because some of these sentences, just the way they're put together, painful. Stay focused. Alright. I encountered a strong sense of dysphoria after setting foot in the room, so I quickly searched for some old computer with the intent of running upstairs as quickly as possible. To my luck and astonishment, there was an old laptop and charger in the corner, hidden under some boxes and books. Oddly enough, one of the boxes was in which she brought down after I first moved in. I had not seen some of this stuff in a long time. Ignoring the nostalgia, I seized the computer and charger and raced up to the master bedroom.